No World Cup final has ever been played on American soil, not in 1994, not ever. For 96 years, the biggest match in football kept choosing somewhere else: Montevideo, Rome, Mexico City, Doha. And on July 19, 2026, it's finally going to happen in a parking lot in New Jersey. That's not an insult. That's literally what's there. The Meadowlands, marshland turned into a sports complex, 15 minutes from Manhattan, surrounded by highways and strip malls. And somehow, this is where FIFA decided the world champion will be crowned, not in a gleaming new arena, not in a city built for spectacle, in New Jersey. To understand why, you have to go back to a stadium that doesn't even exist anymore. Giant Stadium. Built in the swamps of East Rutherford in 1976, it was never designed for football, the round, ball kind. It was built for American football, for the Giants and the Jets, with sightlines and dimensions tuned for a completely different sport. But in 1994, when the World Cup finally came to the United States for the very first time, Giant Stadium got pulled into soccer history anyway. It hosted a quarterfinal, a semifinal. Brazil played there. So did the Cosmos before that. The team that brought Pelé to New York in 1975, paying him more than any footballer had ever been paid, desperately trying to make America fall in love with the game. It half worked. Crowds came. Then the league collapsed. And the dream went quiet for nearly 2 decades. Then in 2009, Giant Stadium was torn down. In its place rose something almost absurdly expensive, a $1.6 billion stadium, the costliest in American history at the time it opened. They called it MetLife Stadium. And here's the twist nobody expected. This brand new billion-dollar football cathedral was never built with soccer in mind at all. It was built for 2 NFL teams who don't even like sharing a parking lot, let alone a World Cup final. No single naming rights owner, no single identity. Just 2 franchises splitting the same concrete bowl, playing different sports, arguing over locker room space. So why this stadium? Why not Los Angeles, with its brand new SoFi Stadium, all glass and steel and built for the future? For months, that was the favorite. Reports had Dallas as the frontrunner too, with plans to simulcast the final on giant screens nearby to squeeze out more ticket revenue. Local officials in New Jersey weren't even expecting the news. When FIFA made the call, the viewing party organized for it was small, quiet. Nobody had the champagne ready, so what actually killed SoFi's chances? Geometry. SoFi was built with a field just 69 yards wide, too narrow for FIFA's standards. No matter how much money Los Angeles poured into the stadium, the pitch itself didn't fit the sport. The ground simply isn't big enough. And reportedly, the stadium's ownership wasn't thrilled with FIFA's revenue sharing terms either, and even floated walking away from hosting matches altogether. Sometimes the biggest decisions in football come down to spreadsheets and tape measures, not glory. MetLife had a different problem. It needed surgery. FIFA's rules call for a wider pitch than American football needs, so the stadium is physically removing 740 seats just from the corners, carving away part of itself to make room for a sport it wasn't originally built to host. Dollar Stadium, quietly being reshaped corner by corner. But MetLife had something Los Angeles couldn't manufacture: scar tissue. Big match scar tissue. This is a stadium that already knows how to survive chaos. It hosted Super Bowl XL in 2014, the first outdoor, cold weather Super Bowl in NFL history, when half of America thought freezing football fans to death for entertainment was either brilliant or insane. Temperatures dropped below freezing. The NFL had never taken that risk before. MetLife absorbed it without blinking. And on the soccer side, this is where the story gets personal. This is the building where Lionel Messi once collapsed in tears on the grass. 2016, Copa América Centenario final, Argentina versus Chile. Messi had carried his country to that final, playing some of the best football of his life. And then Chile won on penalties, and Messi sat on that turf, this turf, and wept. He even announced his international retirement that night, right here, before eventually coming back to win it all 6 years later. MetLife Stadium was the place where the greatest footballer alive hit his lowest point. That's not just history. That's the kind of emotional weight most stadiums never carry. Neymar's played there. Cristiano Ronaldo's played there. And in 2025, it hosted the Club World Cup Final between Chelsea and PSG. A dress rehearsal nobody called a dress rehearsal at the time. Everything FIFA needed to test, security corridors, broadcast infrastructure, crowd flow, got tested quietly without the world watching. That's the real reason MetLife won. Not the bigger screens, not the newer paint job. experience, FIFA needed a venue that had already absorbed pressure and didn't break. And the chaos is already showing up before a single ball's been kicked. To move fans from the nearest transit hub at Secaucus Junction, New Jersey is building a $35 million busway and reviving a shuttle rail line that barely runs. Tickets on that train, originally $150, nearly triple a normal MetLife event fare, fans pushed back hard enough that NJ Transit eventually cut those fares by 30%. A small, strange war over train tickets, fought before the tournament even kicked off. And this final isn't just going to be a football match. FIFA is bringing in Global Citizen to co-produce a halftime show, the first in the entire history of the World Cup Final. Over 90 years of World Cup finals, and not one of them ever had a halftime show, until now. Coldplay helped pull the lineup together, and the headline names, Madonna, Shakira, BTS, were only confirmed in May 2026, football's biggest match, borrowing its biggest night's theatre straight from the Super Bowl playbook, on the same turf that once hosted that very Super Bowl. So picture it. July 19th, the swamp where Giant Stadium once stood will finally do something no patch of American ground has ever done. Crown a World Cup champion. 96 years of finals played somewhere else, and it ends in the Meadowlands. Not Rome, not Rio, New Jersey. And maybe that's the real story here. Not which stadium FIFA picked, but what it says about where football believes its future now lives. So if a parking lot outside New York City can host the biggest match in the sport's history, where does the next one even go from here?